Welcome back. We got to say a few things before we get along with this Northern California Battle of the DJs. We want to thank Ken Schubert of KSOL Radio and Mr. Bobby Roque, who's going to be one of our next guests from KSOL Radio. They were the first group to actually donate a Hawaii trip for the Mayor's Cup that we talked about a little while ago. And we'd like to thank them. We also would like to thank Roger Martinez of Latin American Tours for another trip to Hawaii that they were so kind to donate to the Mayor's Cup tournament. So thank you all very much for contributing to this fine event. Well, coming up is the Northern California Battle of the DJs. It's the first one here in Northern California. With us to talk about it is John Kaminsky from West Coast Productions, Bobby Roque from KSOL Radio, and Cameron Paul from everywhere. He's one of those guys like a world be free, you know. The guy is everywhere, I'm telling you. First, John, what is this Northern California Battle of DJs all about here?
Well, first of all, this takes place April 6th, starting at 6 p.m. And we've taken a lot of time as West Coast Productions to put this all together for the DJs and also for the public as well, because it's been a long time since something like this has happened, okay? Actually, when we went out to send out the invitations, okay, we came across one of the main people that are going to be in the show, and he was very jazzed about it because the whole thing is, he says he's been waiting 10 years for this thing to happen, okay, and so actually what this show is all about is the title for the #1 DJ, and like we said, we're getting all the best DJs together, and we're going to have a really good show.
We can't have Bobby in there because he's going to MC. Bobby, what's this DJ stuff all about?
Well, as far as this style DJing is for clubs, and all the jocks who have gone ahead and paid the dues and are now performing in nightclubs all over the Bay Area. That's one thing that John was not able to mention. It's an invitational. It's in 1985, and it will happen yearly. It is probably one of the biggest events that's going to happen around here, because there's always been the question, who is the best, okay? So it's now time to settle the question.
Well, you're a professional now. You're on the radio, and you know, you get paid for doing this every night. How did you start?
Well, I started years ago in a mobile system. I became our morning man. At that time was Nick Harper. I became his protege and then went on the road with him, and then eventually broke off into my own, went into the clubs. As a matter of fact, my first club job was with this gentleman, Cameron Paul. And from that time, I went into radio and been there ever since. That was better than 9 years ago, huh?
Yeah. And now we have Cameron Paul. You know, what's interesting about this guy, I've heard his name over and over, you know, and then in hearing about this battle of the DJs, I called some friends of mine who were pretty versed into the clubs, and they tell me this guy is probably the happening guy right now in anywhere. How did you get your start, and where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a San Francisco native. Born and raised right here in the Bay Area. I started in clubs about 8 years ago.
Before that, how did you, I mean, what gave you the idea to get into playing music for people?
It's not very glamorous. I read an ad in the paper saying DJ needed for a club on Broadway in San Francisco. I answered the ad, and luckily no one was better than me. And I got the job. Just, you know, I was the better of all the worst.
Now you're doing this DJ. What is all this DJ that we hear, club DJ stuff with it, as opposed to being on the radio and having to play a format? What are the different kinds of things? And Bobby, jump in on this. I know you're involved with it too. You know, some of the kinds of tricks and moves, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, mixing in clubs started out very, very simplistic. One song to another. There was no such thing as blending beats together. When I started, no DJs mixed the way you hear on the radio, on like my noon mix hour on KSOL. You don't hear that. You didn't hear that back then, that kind of mixing. I was one of the first to do that kind of mixing. And then as it progressed, people started coming up with little things, little special things to do with the records as they're playing. And it just progressed into who can do the most outrageous things with the record, scratching and back spinning and
the evolution of mixing has taken about 9 years, 8 to 9 years. What he referred to in the beginning as a mix, when he started, is now called a segue on the air. Okay, that's the difference between what's happening now. The mixing, the style that he has is very unique for the very simple reason that he comes up with originality. I mean, he's got a lot of originality in his mixing.
Yeah, I've listened to the
Yeah.
new mixes that I've gotten involved in. It's like almost creating new music out of the music that's already there.
That's
As a
exactly
matter of fact, the Examiner just did an article about that, the turning old songs into new songs, which is what we do. We literally remix songs within our mixes and make them brand new and special in their own right.
Mhm. How old were you when you started?
I was 20
20. How long have you been doing it?
for about 8 years.
About 8 years.
Almost me, huh?
Well, that's well, you know, I know.
I mean, we
there's a lot
started
of guys
together.
here in San Jose who basically started, playing music for their friends at parties.
Well, yeah, that's normally how someone gets started. You have a friend of a friend who gets you, a turntable and another turntable, and you start that way. It is a street art, is what it really is, because there is no school that can teach it to you. It is something that you have to have within you, a certain talent. The Prince Megamix, which Cameron created this summer, last summer that just passed.
Last October.
Right. Okay. Well, when he came up with that, it was a whole new revolution in mixing because there was so
I like
many
that, the
tricks.
mega mix.
Yeah, the Megamix, yeah, which was real popular. As a matter of fact, to this day, we still have requests for it all the time on the air. It's probably one of the most popular mixes that has ever been done here in the Bay Area, at least here in the Bay Area. I know that it went to L.A. to Warner Brothers to be produced as a record. Unfortunately, Prince didn't approve it.
Not yet. But it is being released on a label called Hot Tracks, which will probably be coming out very soon.
So there's a whole lot to it. It's not just, it takes time to learn how to beat for beat, which is taking one record to another record on the exact same beat and making the song sound like it's an extension of another song. Or trick mixing, where let's say you half beat it, you put it one exact half beat behind the other, okay, and are able to go ahead and play with the two records. Or phasing it, taking it, the two records, the exact same records, running them at the same time and taking it one.
And you get a very spatial effect.
Right, you take it 1/100th of a second off.
Yeah.
It's mixed, okay, and it gives you that phasing. It sounds like a jet inside the record.
Yeah, it's different.
All
It's
kinds
very
of different
technical how it works, but it.
Is it very glamorous? I know a lot of the people on the outside always say, "Oh man, I really like to do that." And
Well, it's. I've been through I've been doing this for quite a number of years, and I've been through the ringer a few times. And
My limo's waiting.
I know. Another West Coast.
Oddly enough, when West Coast Productions put this together, John mentioned that we had gone to a club. I was the one making presentations that night. And Nick Lagisis from Studio 47 was the man that we talked to. And when I handed him the invitation, he threw his arms around me and said, "Bobby, I've been waiting 10 years for this." And it's true. Guys that have been in the business like Cameron, myself, Nick, jocks who have been around the Bay Area for a long time. Radical Rich. All these guys have been waiting around for something like this. Everyone's always said, "Well, I am the man," okay? It's time to settle up the question. That's it. We're going to go ahead and put it out there, and each man's going to put his reputation on the line and see how good he is.
All right, it's going to be like a boxing format, and it'll be a real interesting event. That's the Northern California Battle of the DJs, Saturday, April 6th. Doors open at 6, runs till midnight. It's at the San Jose Civic Auditorium. If you want any more information on tickets and that kind of stuff, it's area code 408-985-7533. So come on down and see who's the best. See who's the mega mix master.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go away now. It's been a good weekend for us. You have a good week, and we'll see you April 6th at the Civic. Bye-bye.